Feels like the first one again. Ladies and gentlemen, the boys are back in town. Um, Man, I don't even know how to start this. I don't even remember the intro because it's been a while. But look who's back. We're back. Big week. Happy almost New Year. Ending off the year right. RJ,
Feeling good, dude. I
we're
love the
back.
holiday season. Dana has blessed us with an absolutely stacked end of the year card, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah. What better way to end the year than with a phenomenal
Hmm.
card in UFC 296? So that's what we're here to talk about. So we got nothing left to say.
Yeah.
Let's get right into it. Why don't we? Um, First card on the fight is first fight on the main card. Sorry, jeez, I'm a rookie here. First fight on the main card has some backstory to it, which is always fun. Vincente Luque versus Ian
Yeah.
Machado Gary. Starting off the card, they used to be teammates. Now Ian Gary's, I don't even know who's coaching
Hmm.
him because he's been to every camp. But good backstory and great
Absolutely.
fighters.
We'll start because you brought it up, right? The switching up with the camps thing. I don't like it. It doesn't usually go well for the fighter that doesn't have a home, that doesn't have a coach. Like, anybody can find someone to hold pads, right? Like anybody can find training partners. But without like that coach that can see everything that you do and to really try to dial you in, it hasn't really worked for too many fighters. So that is the first thing that makes me a
Hmm.
little iffy on Ian. Also, we got to talk about this kid, man, because he's making a big splash on the scene, and like he's the next Conor McGregor. But tell me if you agree with me. It doesn't feel fun or as authentic as Conor. I just it just doesn't feel the same, right? He kind of comes off like a douche.
No, yeah, yeah, no, I agree. It seems artificial. He doesn't seem like that's his inner
Yeah.
core once you get down to it. Like Connor, when he was coming up, that was him. He was just being himself, and he didn't have to try to put on a
And
show.
and
He
even
just
when he
could
was
do that.
saying some like off the wall shit, maybe not towards the end with like the Khabib and everything. We'll only talk about Connor for a second, but like in the beginning, it's like Connor would say some stuff that would cut you a little bit deep if you were his opponent. However, like it came off like so quick-witted and so funny that you're like, like you're like there's like a part of you that's like, oh
Yeah.
my God, he said that. But then with Ian, it's like, oh. It's like, damn, bro, that was just kind of like mean and like a little weird. Like it just doesn't. There's not
Yeah.
the same like
I
playfulness. So I, Ian, look, man, he's a very skilled guy. Obviously, he's only been in the U. I think this is like his fourth fight, right? First fight, first fight. To be
something
honest with
like
you, I
that.
don't even remember it. Then he head kicked D Rod, which was like,
That
no, he
was
had
his
one
most
more
recent
after
though,
that.
right? He fought the no, I thought he was
Uh,
who was after that?
Jeff Neal,
There
or
was
no, not
the
Jeff Neal. No, he
that
didn't
was
fight
the
Jeff
most
Neal. That
recent
was
one.
someone else. It was Neil Magny.
Oh, he
Thank you,
fought
Neil,
Neil
Neil,
Magny.
Neil
Jeez.
Magny.
Look at us.
And so look, he head kicked
But
D
yeah,
Rod. That was beautiful, like amazing, right? Holy smokes! Then to pretty much dominate Neil Magny, like you got to be good. If you get past Neil Magny, you're a real deal player. To dominate Neil Magny the way he did, all right, like I'm listening, like I'm with you, you're
yeah.
here. However, man, a lot of talk. This is his first, like, D-Rod, Neil, those are great fighters. Luque is a monster. Like this guy has finished like 90% of his wins. Luque is a bad mamma jamma. All right. Luque's record isn't super great, but I looked at it earlier today. The first like five losses were all within the first couple years of his career. He's really only
Mm.
lost to like the creme de la creme. Luque has fought. a handful, half a dozen world champions. Like
Everybody.
he's fought world champion caliber guys, and Luque is a problem for anybody in the division. He's got everything. He's got striking. He's got grappling. Um, there's a lot of hype on Ian Machado Gary, but I don't know. I don't know if it's actually my head telling me because of the, MMA math, or if it's just because I kind of have a bad taste in my mouth with Ian Gary. But I think I'm riding with Luque on this one. I would like to see Luque get it done. I definitely think he has the
Mm,
skills to do so.
yeah, I think the skills is not a question. I mean, we know what he can do. He's coming off a very dominant win against
Mm,
Rafael dos Anjos. However, they looked like they were in about four different weight classes. Luque looks like
monster. Yeah,
heavyweight compared to him. However, we know RDA and we know what he's done. So that was dominant. Ian Gary's obviously undefeated. He's in the news a lot recently with these strange storylines, and he's come out and publicly said that it's been a lot going on. He like fears for his family's health or what have you. So I don't know how much that plays into going into fight week, because thinking about all these things that I don't know if you saw the storylines and whatnot. It's very strange. It's very definitely could get in your head. He's undefeated, which a lot of undefeated fighters have come out and said that the pressure of being undefeated is very hard to
yeah.
continue to perform, especially against a guy like Luque, who's not going to crack, who's not going to fold. They know each other, they sparred each other, so I'm sure they know what's going on. Um, I think there's a lot more at stake and there's a lot more going on with Ian Gary, which makes me lean towards Vincente Luque. I think he's just so polished, he's
Veteran.
so experienced, and I think he's ready to
Yeah,
take
I
that
think
O
so
from Ian
too. And
Gary.
and the funny thing is, like Gary's still young, so even if he loses to uh, a guy like Luque, it's like that's really not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of your career. Like if your first loss is to a guy like Vicente Luque, like that's a good sign. At least now we know like where he's at and like the type of guy he should be fighting. Because I don't like the whole like, oh, it's his third fight, let's give him a title shot like Alex Pierre. We won't get into that. It's like I don't really like that. Like even if he could get it done right now, it's like I still like would like to see you go through. We kind of get a feel, put you against all the styles, and kind of get a feel for where you're at. I mean, so far he's performed amazingly, Ian Gary. Like he really has looked good. I give him a lot of props. I'm not trying to be a hater. Um, I just don't know. He hasn't like really proven it yet to me. Um, and I would like to
Mm,
see him, if he gets past Luque, then like, you know, it's going to be a lot. It's
it's
tough to
tough
hold
to
him back. It's going
keep
to be a lot
saying.
of fun matchmaking in the future. But let's see, man. I'm excited for that fight. It's a great way to kick off the card. That's for sure.
It is. It is. And moving into the second fight on the card, it's this one's fun. This one's funny. This one's fun. This one's
Mm.
entertaining. Tony Ferguson versus Patty the Batty Pimlet. I'll come out of the gate and say I'm not a huge Patty guy, and I know a lot of people are gonna hate on me for that one, but I'm just not a Patty guy. He rubs me the wrong way. Never been a fan. He's almost
Yeah.
like the Ian Gary to me. And both of them rub me the wrong way, and I got nothing personal against them. It's just how they go about what they do is just not my type of thing. Um, Tony is
Oh.
on a what 6 fight slide right now of just pure brutal knockouts and
And
submissions.
dominations. Yeah.
Patty is his Patty's last fight out
Mm.
was Jared Gordon in MSG, which was controversial. I think. Well,
Yeah.
I know it was controversial. A lot of people were saying Jared Gordon won that. Patty was making excuses afterwards and whatnot, which was also not
Yeah.
helpful for his case. Um, stylistically, if we get a Tony Ferguson that is hopefully sharp and refreshed and feeling good, it should be an
Yeah.
interesting
This
fight.
one is. It's like, to be honest, Patty said something a couple months ago, and it's actually true. It's kind of a lose-lose, right? Because you're either going to get like smoked by Tony Ferguson, or you're going to like beat up the guy who like six other guys just beat up. Now, when you get into like the actual X's and O's, like on paper, Tony should run away with this thing. It should be like an easy fight for Tony Ferguson when you consider the level of competition that both of these guys have had. Like whether Patty won or lost the Jared Gordon fight, that should tell you everything you need to know. Like Tony Ferguson was on his way to, I mean, he was looking good against Chandler. He dropped Gaethje. Like Tony has been fighting the best of the best for the last like 10 years straight. And all those losses he's had, granted they did not look very good. It's like to the best guys. So I think this is a very winnable fight for Tony. I do think he has all the skills in the world. He's the hardest guy to get out of there, as we've seen. The Chandler punt was the first time we ever seen him go completely unconscious. And then he got put to sleep. Like it's just been like a really rough patch for Tony Ferguson. Um, but Tony's still our guy. Like he's still like a fan favorite. Everybody picked him against Khabib a couple years ago. Like he was that guy. He was the boogeyman. Tony Ferguson, bro. He comes out and he break dances. I will say, even though he has looked good at in moments in his past couple fights, he's starting to look a little slower. Um, I don't think he can take the amount of damage that he used to take anymore. I think it's finally caught up with him. And not just that, but like the mental side of things where like now you know what it's like to be knocked out. Now you know what it's like to get dominated. Now you know what it's like to be put to sleep in front of a crowd. Um, is that going to make Tony more hesitant? Because Patty, whatever you want to say about him, he is an aggressive guy. Like he'll come out with his chin way up in the air and just start throwing hooks at you. Like like his that's kind of his style. He's not gonna
Yep,
like
he
pick him
will.
apart. He's gonna just like try to blitz him and get him out of there. Patty's known for having pretty good jujitsu. Do we think his jujitsu is as good as Tony Ferguson's? I don't know. Tony Ferguson's not only a great jujitsu guy, but I mean he's was first known as a wrestler before anything else. Tony's got great cardio, at least he did. This there's a lot of questions. He
He
well, and
still does.
he did the whole Hell
He
Week
still
thing with
does.
David Goggins.
Just went through
Yeah,
Hell Week
so
with Dave
it's
Goggins. His
yeah,
cardio's
I
there.
have
He's
to
all right.
ride
It's
the
just
chin.
the
It's a
chin.
question. All the questions around this fight
It is.
are for me on Tony's side. It's like I have a lot of questions about Tony, and I guess we'll just have to see. I'm definitely gonna pick Tony to win. I just think he's Tony Ferguson. You know what I mean? I just don't think
It's Tony
Patty
Ferguson.
is at that level. I really don't. I mean, we saw it in the fight Jared Gordon fight, and this is in no disrespect to Jared Gordon because he's a very solid fighter.
He just had a
Yes,
phenomenal
very very
knockout win
good
recently.
fighter. But not quite a great fighter like some of Tony Ferguson. I mean, Ferguson has fought everybody, like everybody, and
Yeah.
up until the
Uncomparable.
last couple of years, he beat everybody. So it's just I got to ride with Tony, man. Tony's my guy. I love Tony.
I'm riding with Tony as well. Partially because I'm not a Patty fan. And these first two have been a little emotional for me. Like I picked emotionally just because I don't personally like how some of
Yeah.
these guys go about their business. So I picked the other way. And this is kind of another case. My mind is telling me Tony has every way to win this fight. I think his jiu-jitsu is quite
Mm,
capable of holding up with Patty. His wrestling, obviously, you said he was a wrestler first. We know that, and his striking it's unorthodox. It's unique. It's his style. The only question I have is
mm.
what is his chin going to be like if he gets cracked? So that's my one and only question for Tony. I think his cardio's there. So
Yeah,
I'm
we
riding with
have
El
to, man.
Kakui.
That's our guy. It's funny that you say the thing too, right? We were just talking about Ian Gary and now Patty. It's like when you look at guys like Patty and Darren Till are from like the same place. When Darren Till talks shit, I'm like, this guy's the coolest guy in the world. I want to buy him a beer, and he's funny. when Patty does it, you're like, this dude is it's just cringe. Like
Ugh.
why is it that some they do exactly the same thing, but like one guy you're like he can pull it off, and then another guy it's like it doesn't. There's some type of feeling like that you get when they do it, and it's like Patty and Ian, you're absolutely right,
Yeah.
fall into that same boat where it just kind of turn your nose up at it a little bit, and it's like man, I think part of it too is just like what you've done to get to where you're at. You know what I mean? And it's like when Connor was talking shit to Khabib, it's like some of it might have been cringy, but it's like, well, he knocked out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds. He knocked out, became the first two division simultaneous champs. It's like you kind of are allowed to do that once you fought Floyd Mayweather for 9 or 10, however many rounds they went. It's like Patty, what, what, who? You didn't fight anybody good.
Split
Like
decision in
you
his
kind of
last
got beat
fight.
up
It
and they
could have
gave
went
you a
either
win.
way.
With Ian Machado Gary, it's like you've had some good outings for sure, but it's like this is only your fourth fight in the UFC, dude. It's like you only have like 10, 11, 12 professional
Hmm.
fights. It's like you don't yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
he's
you're
12-0.
still like you still have to prove it to us before we're gonna be on your side. And these are two for both of these guys, two like this could change the trajectory. These fights for both of these guys could really push them into like being superstars and being more likable, beating some of these name value guys, So definitely good, interesting way to start this card off with those two fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving into this next fight, I love this fight. I just watched both of these guys because they put it on YouTube. As you get closer, they start putting these guys.
Oh,
Shavkat Rachmanov versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Um, what a stylistic
yeah.
great matchup. I just watched Shavkat versus Jeff Neal, and then I watched Stephen Thompson versus
Mm,
blanking Kevin
huh.
Holland.
What
Sorry, blanking. So I watched those back to
great
back. So
last
this
fights
one's
for
fresh in
both
my
of those
mind.
guys. Definitely.
Yeah. So initially, first thoughts after I watched both of those, I pulled
Mm,
towards Shavkat because I think well, we know his wrestling is better than Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's. We know Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. We know what he's going to do. He's going to stand. He's going to kick you with
mm,
every kick on planet Earth, and then you're going to crumble. Um, Shavkat, we learned, has a great
mm.
chin against Jeff Neal. He took some bombs against Jeff Neal, who we know has titanium in his hands or whatever he has. So we know he has a good chin. We know his wrestling's there. And in the Kevin Holland fight with Wonder Boy, they wound up in clinch positions and they both pretty much
Yeah.
agreed they're not going to grapple. So just ending up in those positions when you both kind of agree not to get to those positions tells me that Shavkat's going to get to that clinch and he's
He
most likely
made
going to end
no
up
such
getting that
agreement.
takedown because he's not making that agreement. He's gonna do what he's got to do. He's a killer, and I think he's gonna wrestle pretty heavily unless he feels comfortable on the feet. But how could
Well,
you
so
against
that
Wonder Boy?
this is the question, right? Like when you look at some of the stats on Shavkat, it's crazy. Dude has a 100% finish rate. He has gotten rid of every single person that he's fought to this point in his entire professional career. That's insane. He's been a champion in every organization that he's fought for. So like he comes in, he's fresh, he beats up a bunch of guys, he becomes champion, goes to another place, beats up a bunch of guys, becomes champion. Like this guy is a serious threat to anybody in the division because he's so well rounded. Um, the big thing for me in this one is obviously well, there's a few, right? But the number one that I think of is the age difference. I don't know how old Shavkat is, but Wonder Boy's got him by at least he's got him by at
I
least
don't
eight,
know.
almost 10 years probably. Like Wonder Boy's 40 years old.
Yeah, Shavkat's 29
Yes,
and Wonder Boy's 40.
that's big. Wonder Boy doesn't look like an old guy
That is
out
big.
there. He looks great for an old guy, and he's not 40 is not old, right? But like in the fighting years, that's ancient history, bro.
in the top
Yeah.
10 of the UFC, that
Yeah.
is a
Yo.
fossil.
Yes. To to be as respectful as we can be. I know. And I
I
know.
hate to say it,
He's
but
an old guy in
it's
there.
true.
So the speed, I mean, Wonder Boy still looks fast. He still looks strong. He still looks
He does
flexible.
look
Like he
really
still has
fast.
all these attributes. But when you're actually, listen, Tyler, how many years do I have on you? I know all about the young guy bringing it to the old guys. Like it's just a fact that we as human beings can't deny. The younger, more athletic person is going to have an edge in certain instances. Now, we have seen Wonderboy Thomas, Stephen Wonderboy Thomas, struggle with grapplers. We've seen it. Um, he's also done well against certain grapplers, but like I forget who did it first. It was either like Tyron Woodley or I think it was Woodley actually was the first one to beat him and kind of show the blueprint. And since then,
Mm.
other guys have been able to attack that same game plan. So the question becomes, does Shavkat go back and hit that game plan and just ride it out, push him up against the fence, take him down. He gets back up, hit him a couple times, push him up against the fence. Like, do we play that game, or does Shavkat try to prove something, go out there and outstrike the striker? Right? We have to assume we'd be silly to not assume that Stephen Thompson hasn't been like working on his grappling. The guy's been trying to defend the wrestler, defend against that style pretty much his entire career. Everybody knows that's the one weakness. You don't want to strike with the guy, you want to take him down. So it'd be silly for us to think that like he's not practicing for this type of fight. He does have Chris Weidman in his family, very tight knit. I'm sure he's got the best guys in the world that he could have come be in his camp with him. Um, is it enough? Like, is it enough to keep this young, savage mountain man off of you? It's going to be this is an interesting one, man, because we've seen historically Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's one of the hardest guys to figure out. His timing, his distance and range is all very different than most people. He doesn't have an average style that like is regular. It's very like it's only him. He's the guy like it's so hard to find a guy like that to train for. So
Mm.
does Shavkat crack the code? Um, I'm with you. Like my first initial thought is, yeah, Shavkat's gonna get this one. He's a finisher. He's ran through pretty much everybody that he's fought. However, Wonder Boy's a hard one to figure out, and I can't wait to watch. I can't wait to
Hmm.
watch because it'll. I'll tell you what, it'll make me feel so good if Wonder Boy pulls it off because it's like, damn, dude, like you keep turning away these young lions. Like now, back of the line, like I want a title shot. Like if he beats Shavkat, he could he could get a title shot.
You
Yeah,
could make the
and I
argument.
think that would be great to see.
I
So,
mean,
he's one of those guys where it's like you hope he gets a title shot before he retires, just because that's what his life that's his life's work. So it's like, let's see him.
yeah.
He's got to take out like one or two guys like Shavkat, these really dangerous younger, just dangerous matchups. But that styles make fights. We say this all the time, and this is just a very interesting one to watch. I can't wait.
Yeah, this is a great fight. I think I'm rocking with Shavkat. I think he's just he's younger. He's more probably he might not be hungrier because Stephen Wonderboy's never gotten the title, but I would argue that Shavkat is more hungry,
Yeah,
looking for a title
just
shot. Um, I just think it's going to be
yeah,
overwhelming for
even to
Stephen
be on the
Wonderboy
map,
Thompson.
right? Like Shavkat, like the hardcore fans know Shavkat because like he's a beast. He's been for a really long time, but like the average fan doesn't even know who this guy is. So this fight is gonna
That's
like put
crazy.
him on the map regardless. I have a question for you. You think Shavkat? Do you think he continues his finish streak? You think he finishes
I think
Stephen
if
Wonderboy Thompson?
yeah, I think if he wins, he gets it with a finish.
Damn. All
Yeah, I
right.
do. I really do. And I think one of them's getting finished. I think Wonder Boy's either blasting him with a kick that gets an eventual finish, or Shavkat's getting a finish. But I think
Wow.
someone's getting a
Oh my
finish in this
goodness.
one for
What a
sure.
fun fight.
Yeah,
What a
I don't
fun
think it
one.
goes to a decision. Um, Such a fun fight, and this next one's even it could be as fun, and we don't know how this
Mm.
one's going. They fought before for the flyweight co-main. We got Alexander. How do you say his first name?
Yeah, it's good
Alexander.
enough.
Alexander. Sure. Pantoja. I know his
Pantoja.
last name. Pantoja versus Brandon Royval. They fought once before. It was phenomenal. I
Great
just watched
fight.
that one too. Matter of fact, I've been watching a lot of fights. That pace they put on in the 2 rounds it lasted was crazy. Um, Styles make fights. Royval is very unorthodox, and Pantoja is a madman in the beginning, and then they both. Well, Royval has a little better cardio by the looks of it, but Pantoja's got the power, and he just finds a way, and
Yeah,
that's what
that
happened in the
power,
first fight.
especially like you said in the first 1 or 2 rounds, is a problem for anybody in that division. Um, dude, Roy Val, we got to talk about this cat because he's another one that kind of flies under the radar for most like casual fans. This guy comes into the UFC. First of all, he's a finisher. Like this guy has a huge, crazy finish rate, a lot of submissions, good, not a whole lot of knockouts, but he does have knockout power. Dude comes into the UFC. They go, cool. Here's Tim Elliott. That's his first fight in the UFC. Dude, Tim Elliott,
Speaking of
the
Elliott, you
veteran
see
that
him
just
last night
won last night, looking so good against these young guys.
and started the fight
Dude,
with a
Tim
rolling
Elliott is the
thunder.
man. Yeah, we should just say real quick, Tim Elliott is the fucking man. We love that guy over here. Uh, but like for that grizzled old veteran with the wackiest style ever, for that to be your first fight in the UFC, that just shows you what the UFC thinks of you. They're like, we're gonna throw you
Yeah.
right in here with one of our top guys who's been like top 10 for forever, you know, submits him. Royval submits him. Okay, I'm listening. Then they go,
Okay.
here's Kai Kara France, who's been top five
Good.
for what, a couple of years at least. Like this cat's legit, bro. Submits him. So I'm definitely giving the submission edge to Royval. Power has to go to Pantoja for sure. They both start out like speedballs. I do think Royval has a little bit of the better cardio. I. It's not even that it's better. It's just that he paces himself better. It's like he can settle into the fight and keep the same pace the entire time, whereas Pantoja kind of burns out towards the end, and he doesn't just go away, but like his intensity is certainly different in the beginning towards the end. Now, with that being all said, right? Pantoja has fought his two most recent losses were both to Pantoja and to Assassin Baby, right? So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, those are the two best guys in the world. So, Pantoja, or I'm sorry, Royval is obviously like right up there with those guys. He
Royval.
does have both of those losses, which one makes me think he's very hungry to get this win back. Because not only is it for the belt, but it's also for redemption, right? So
Agreed.
that's like a huge driving force for Royval. Pantoja, I got to be honest here. I like Pantoja, great fighter. I don't think he beat uh, Brandon Moreno. I don't. I was one of the ones that was
Okay.
kind of like, well, I could see it, but also people always get mad at me for saying the whole like you got to really beat the champion to become the champion. Like if it's really razor close, which that fight was, I think you got to go on the side of the champ. And he did have a solid fifth round against uh, Moreno, but I don't know. Like I after that fight was done, I was like Moreno got it, and then they didn't, and I was like, oh shit. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever, But it's just going to be interesting to see how they both evolved to get to this point. Um, who's the boxing coach that's always does like the post fight? Yeah, he's got the big
Boxing
chin,
coach.
and he's always like, oh, I can't think of his name right now.
I
He's
got no
he's
idea what you're
coached
talking
everybody.
about
He
right now.
coached Mike Tyson. What the hell's his name? Um, I can't think of it, but
I don't know what's going on
one of the
here,
big things that he always
but
says is when you win the belt, you get 30% better. So he says that all the time. He's
mm,
like, as soon as you have that belt, like just your confidence and like everything goes through the roof because you're finally like, wow, I really am that guy. So it's going to be interesting to see Pantoja defending his belt. Um, it's this is a great fight. This is one of those fights that like for whatever reason people aren't as attracted to the flyweight division, but like this is one of those fights where it's like, dude, this is going to be a really good fight. Like these guys are going to like show all
yeah.
the techniques, and I think somebody's going to get a finish. It's hard for me to pick one. I'm sort of leaning Royval, sort of.
Mm. I was too. After I watched that first fight back, I think he'll make adjustments, and I think he'll do what he has to do to get the win. It really stinks that you're making the first picks here because I followed your
Do
picks.
we? I didn't
We
even
have the
notice.
same picks
Have
right
we
now, but
picked?
you're picking first, so it makes me look like I'm just
Sorry.
following you. But this is quite literally, I've quite literally had everyone in my mind, like who I was going to pick, and
I'll
it's
let you
been
pick the last
everyone
fight
you've
before I
picked.
say anything.
Okay. But so Brandon Royval, Alexander Pantoja, co-main rematch for the title. Five. I don't know how 5 rounds is gonna fare for these guys because they went into the 3 rounder, obviously, but now they got five, so it'll be interesting to see if they
Mm,
kind of pace themselves. But either way, I think they're both still gonna come out
yep.
pretty
I think someone
fiery.
gets a finish.
I'm excited. I do as well, and I think
Find a
Royval
submission.
might find it. So
That's what I'm
yeah, he
thinking. I
might
think
find
it's going to
something.
start with the hands. It's the old Diaz classic. Start it up with the hands, and then once they're rocked and wobbly, go down to the ground and cinch something up. That's just kind of how I see it going. Um, again, I sometimes I get these things in my head where I'm like, I didn't think he won. Pantoja, I didn't think he won his last fight distinctively, so now it's like I'm sort of picking against him. Not because I think he's not good.
Hmm.
The dude's a beast, but like I'm just like, I don't know. Like I just don't know. And now you're like the champ and there's a lot of pressure on you and you got this dude who you not only did you beat, but like now you got what he wants. I'm going with Royval.
Yeah, I agree. I'm also picking Royval. Great co-main. This is I pretty much a guaranteed banger. I think
Mm,
fight of the night capability. It's gonna be a good one, I think. But leads us into our main event of the evening, the final main event of a pay-per-view of the year. UFC 296 ends off with the welterweights. Big welterweight
yeah,
card this weekend. Um, Leon Rocky Edwards versus Colby Chaos Covington. Um, both of these guys, first off, are pretty
mm,
inactive lately. We know Colby hasn't fought since what, Masvidal?
dude.
That was a while
Kobe, to
ago.
be honest, he's fought like once a year for the last like 4 years.
And it hasn't been any
No,
prospects or up and
besides, I
comers.
mean,
It's
obviously
been like
Usman.
Kamaru Usman. Yeah, it's been Kamaru Usman and like Robbie
Yeah,
Lawler, Tyron
yeah,
Woodley, George Masvidal,
who was on
who
his way
was
out.
pretty old.
Yeah. So, yes, I mean that is a big factor. Leon hasn't been the most active champion, but he did just have like 2 5 round. I mean, he did finish this technically the second, but the first Usman fight for the belt, he did finish that, but it was like right at the end of the fifth round. So he yeah, he
Minute
pretty
30,
much
I think,
had
right?
2 5 round fights somewhat recently, where Colby, you know, I don't know how this one's going to go. I don't know if that matters so much for Colby. He's not like super old. I mean, his cardio's there, his style. It's going to be interesting to see if Leon can handle the just the outrageous pressure and output from Colby Covington.
Mm.
Because like, dude, I was looking at both of these guys' stats today trying to do my homework for this, and like, dude, first of all, did you really like? I know we think about win streaks, but has it occurred to you that like Leon hasn't lost a fight in like 10 years?
Wasn't the last
Usman, and it
one
was like
Kamaru?
10 years ago. It was
One.
like
Number
a
one.
long time ago. So, um,
Yeah,
Leon Edwards has just been like, holy smokes, impressive, like so impressive. We forget how hard it was for him to even get a title shot. Like, yeah,
dude.
crazy, unbelievable his
Unbelievable.
run to get the shot, and then the way he did it. So we could talk about X's and O's, right? Like, what is Colby gonna do? What is Leon gonna do? The only bit of MMA math that we have at our, you know, at what that we can watch and see is how they both did against Usman because they both fought Usman for 10 rounds or ish, two 5 round fights.
Yep.
Colby was like right here with Usman, just couldn't quite get it. And there was a couple moments he had, but Usman never really let him take the momentum sway fully. Like they might be for like a moment or two,
Mm-hmm.
but he never fully took the momentum away from Usman. Leon basically got his ass beat, then kicked his head off and took all the momentum. So in that last the third fight, but the second championship fight, Leon smoked him like he was cruising away with it. And because I'm sorry, there's a lot going on in my head. I'm trying to figure out how to
Oh,
form it
dude.
up.
Dude, yeah.
A guy like Usman, when he's untouchable, has that aura of untouchable. But then he got his head kicked off, and he hasn't looked untouchable since then. Right? He came back in that Leon fight, and it's not like he didn't fight well. He fought well, but like he was just like a little bit gun shy. Whereas in like the first two fights, he was like, dude, I'm in your face, like I'm the bad mamma jamma. I'm gonna punch you, I'm gonna kick you, I'm gonna take you down. I'm not scared of you.
Mm-hmm.
You can't hurt me. But then it was like, oh, you can hurt me. So then he like it just seemed like some of that aura was gone, and Leon had all the momentum, and he just never gave it back to Usman. Where on the other hand, with Colby, it's like he couldn't really get that momentum. Every time he tried to get it, he couldn't get it. So I'm not going to pick, right? We'll keep breaking it down, and then I'll let you pick. But that's a
Okay.
factor, right? It's like how they did against Usman. That's like the first right in front of your face thing.
Yeah.
It's the obvious
That's the
one.
obvious one. Right.
Leon Edwards might not be the flashiest guy, but his striking is damn near perfect. He's never out
It
of
really
position.
is. It
He's not out of
really
position.
is.
A lot of his fights are decision wins, but the reason for that is because he knows how to keep you there and he stays here and he just waits for the shots to open and he just plays. It's like he's playing a game and he's just Colby all day, 3 pointers, just like one after the other. Like the dude doesn't miss. So
Yep.
and and I'll say this, right? There's a lot of breaking down going on in my head. Because of the way that Colby fights, heavy pressure, blitz style, I actually think that might play into Leon's game a little bit.
It's gonna
That's
run
the
right
that's
into
the
something.
question. So does he get
Gonna
clipped on
run
the
right
way
into
in?
something.
Does the wrestling do anything? Because of I mean he's just obviously prepared for Leon now has prepared for Usman for the last year of his life, arguably one of the best wrestlers in that division ever. So it's like, just like the Wonder Boy Thompson thing, it's like we can't pretend like Leon's just not wrestling in his camp. Like, obviously, that's probably everything he's doing. or at least using some setups and some defenses to lead into a game plan where he can use his striking. Um, this one's going to be interesting, man. Um, this one's going to be interesting. Does Colby have ring rust? Can he close the distance effectively and utilize that heavy berserker pressure style, utilize his wrestling? Is Leon mentally that guy right now? Because he's got the belt. He just beat the GOAT of the division. Like, there's just so much going on with this one,
Yeah,
man. I'm gonna let you take it and then
there is.
you say what you want to say, give your
Yeah.
pick, and then we'll
Mm. Yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot
There's a
to
lot. This one's
say.
crazy.
You know, I think I can go on record and say Leon might be pound for pound one of the greatest MMA strikers right now in the UFC,
It's
in
hard to
MMA in
argue.
general. He's got everything. I mean, you get into the clinch with him, he blasts you with knees, he blasts you with elbows. You stand at range, you're gonna get smoked. You're just gonna get smoked. Um, he likes southpaws. He does like fighting a southpaw, which a lot of southpaws don't like. And we know Colby's a southpaw who switches sometimes, but he doesn't like being orthodox very much. Um, so I think Leon is loving that Colby's a southpaw. Um, he's just got it all. He fought Usman the last two times out, so I think the wrestling defense is there. Um, I'll just skip the prediction. I think Leon Edwards makes this one look easy.
Oh, damn! Look easy.
That's my
Oh, I
prediction.
love it. I love it.
Look easy. It makes it look easy. He blasts Colby with something, and
Puts the
he might
stamp
get a
on it.
finish. Might get
Well,
a finish.
okay. So now that the cat's out, I'm with you. I think Leon, it's just his time right now. I think he's the best fighter. He's so well rounded. He's fresher. And just we've talked about this in a couple of the other fights too. When you just look at like who each other has fought, like Leon fought the entire division. Colby like started fighting better guys and then kind of skipped right to the very top. And like it's clear that Colby belongs at the top. He's legit as like nobody can say Colby Covington is not a good fighter. But like he didn't really
Mm-hmm.
have all of those crazy wars. Like he beat up a couple of name brand guys. He tells the story all the time. They were gonna cut me. My style was boring. They didn't like my character. So then I like beat up Damian Maya and like started talking this craziness. And now I'm like a superstar. So it's like good for you. That got you to the dance. But also like Leon's been just quietly like beating every single person in the division for the last decade.
Yep.
And I just can't see Colby getting through it. Like I really can't. Like Masvidal had him rocked. Usman had him rocked. And these guys, I mean, Masvidal's obviously a great striker. Usman's definitely got his striking got better over the years, but these guys aren't like Leon. Leon is a
Oh,
technician, right? Like this guy's gonna be, he's gonna have hands in your face. He's gonna be kicking you. His footwork is beautiful. He's gonna hit you three times and circle out. Like I don't know. I just can't see Colby really doing much to hurt Leon. And and if he does get him to the ground, we've seen Leon's jujitsu. It's amazing. Like the wrestling might not match Colby's, but I think his jujitsu will make up for it in certain places, help him get to a guard, help him kick off and stand again. Like I could see Colby getting very frustrated, trying to control Leon and not really having much to hold on to. Um,
especially if Leon
oh
starts kicking
man,
his
it's gonna
legs,
slow him
kicking his
right in the
body,
body.
kneeing him
Oh,
in
it's
the
gonna slow him
body,
down.
elbow to the head, and Colby's gonna be like, "Man, I need to wrestle," and then you
Yeah.
run right into a knee, or you
Yeah,
run right into
especially
something
if he
else.
starts fighting desperate. Yeah,
That
I think you're right. Here's the X factor. You ready? Do you think the trash talk gets to Leon?
No,
Or
I don't think so. I think cause I think Leon might have took some of that aura that Kamaru had, and he feels
mm,
invincible on the inside. So I think it's kind of just like Leon's going to be playing. He might play with him a little bit and like have some fun, but at the end of the day, I don't think he's going to lose sleep over it. I don't think it's going to make him want to hurt him any more
yeah,
than
I
he
mean,
already
we've
probably
seen Colby
does.
frustrate some guys
Um,
with not only with his
yeah, I just
style
don't
but his
think.
talking. You know,
Yeah, I just don't think he's at that point. I think he's been through everybody. He's a vet. I would consider him a vet.
everyone.
He's fought everybody, even though he's been around for a while. I think he's just so polished. He's sharp.
Yeah,
I think he'll be all right. I don't see that being
I'm with you,
much.
dude. So what we did we pick all five the same?
I got I got Luke, I got Tony, I got Shavkat, I got Royval, and I have
Yeah, we do. We
Leon
got the same
Edwards.
picks. That's cool. Tough talk. Fucking
All
knows
right.
what's up until
We're
or
staying
we look
together,
dumb as hell.
or we're deleting the
Yo,
video.
or we look stupid. That's all right. Hey,
All right. So if you guys don't see
50-50
this, then it
shot.
never
You're
happened.
right or wrong. So whatever.
But yeah, fun card to end it off. What I don't know if there's anything after.
I don't know either. They keep saying it's the last one. I guess it's the last pay-per-view for sure. Um,
Yeah, it
whatever. I
is.
mean, they're probably gonna start giving us some booty cards to hype up UFC 300 like a lot, a lot. Yeah,
We should talk about that. We should make a
we
UFC
will.
300
There's, and
card.
I'm sure there's so many like what's the word? Like rumored fights that are happening, and like I don't
Yeah.
really know what to take of it yet. But I can't wait for that's probably going to be pretty epic. I want to know because like something you mentioned before, this is a very welterweight heavy card, and we always talk about the welterweights and
Mm-hmm.
how clogged up that division is, and like now we have a new champion, so it's starting to work itself out again. This card in particular is going to put some pieces, you know, is going to bring some clarity to this. Colby getting the shot is kind of crazy in the first place. So like we'll get this taken care of. Who's next for the title, right? Is it just like Shavkat if he wins because he'll have all the hype and the momentum, or is it someone like do we need that Bilal rematch? Uh, there's stuff's happening at 170. I'm really excited about it. I wish 155 would get its act together.
Islam just said he doesn't want Charles or Arman
Oh,
rematch. He wants
go
Gaethje.
figure. You know, I mean, dude, I'm the biggest Justin Gaethje fan ever, but like, of course you don't want Sarukian. The guy's a freaking nightmare. There's a
Maybe your
whole
hardest fight
there's a whole
of your
highlight video
career
of
outside of Volk.
Sarukian dumping him on his shoulder like over and over. So yeah, of course he doesn't want that fight. I am not a fan of him at all. Islam.
I like it. His skills. I like
I
his
mean, dude,
skills.
he's
He's
good,
very
but like, I
skilled.
just don't
But
feel like he's really done much of anything. And I know he beat Volk twice, but the first time, did you really beat him? And the second time, the guy was drinking Foster's 2 weeks beforehand. Like,
and
that's what
being
I'm saying.
apparently
Like,
depressed.
Volkanovski off the couch, like, it's still Volkanovski. But, like, I don't know. I wish he would fight some guys. Like, fight these guys. He's gonna do the Khabib thing. He's gonna be like, I'm gonna retire. And then it's like,
Oh
I'm the
yeah, he
greatest, I'm
is.
gonna retire. It's like, but you didn't fucking fight anybody. Like there
Dan Hooker just said that. He just went on record. He's like, Islam's gonna retire before
Yeah.
Arman
It's like
gets the
there's
shot.
all these guys, crazy killers, hungry, and you're like, again, no disrespect to Volk, Volk's the man, but you're fighting the 45er multiple times. You're talking about going up and fighting Leon. You don't want to fight Charles. You don't want to fight the top 5, top 10 guys in your own division. Who is he fought? Dan Hooker? It
That could
should
be a
be. I
video
think
for
Dan
another
Hooker's the
day.
highest ranked guy that he's fought besides like Charles.
That
It's
might be it.
crazy to
Yeah, you
me.
might be
Like to
right.
be like, I'm the greatest.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know.
Armand
Yeah,
now,
that
but
this is for another
Armand
video.
now.
I don't mean to hate on Islam. Even
Yeah, we'll make another
real quick
video.
though,
But
even Daniel Cormier is like, oh, I think Sir you should fight Poirier. It's like, dude, first of all, Poirier's your guy, so like, don't do that to your boy. And number two, Islam's your guy, and you're trying to like deflect it onto your other guy, Poirier. I think that's like some grease. Yeah, that's greasy, bro. Don't do
meow.
that. We want to see him fight. Like, we want to see Islam fight the best guys. We want to see our champions, all of them, our champions, fight the best guys. Leon's been
That's
doing
it.
it.
That's what we want.
It's
It's
not.
not a tough ask.
It's really not. Like you're holding the place, and all the best
It's
guys
not.
should come up for that to fight you for that place. I mean, there's a lot going on, man, in all the divisions. I mean, heavyweight's a mess now because John's in there. Light heavyweight's a mess now because
Yeah.
Alex just shook the whole thing up and turned it on its head. You know, I mean, 185. What's happening at 185? Oh my God, Sean Strickland is at
Sean
185.
Strickland.
Amazing, right? What is going
Man's
on
a
here?
madman.
We got O'Malley. Like,
Oh
what
man.
is really going on these days? It's
We're in
wild,
a
dude. It's
parallel
really mixing
universe right
things
now.
up. We're seeing like a changing of the guard all across all
It's
weight classes,
crazy.
and it's so exciting, man. It's,
We got a lot of videos to
yeah, there's
make.
a
That's
lot to
what I'm
talk
hearing.
about. Feels good. Feels good to
The
talk
boys are
about it,
back
dude.
in
Tough
town,
talk.
but
Tough talk is around, yeah.
thanks. We're back. We're back. You know who we got to get back on? We got to
Dude,
get your car
Jakar
back on here.
slamming
After
people on
that,
their heads.
bang.
Oh my goodness. You know what was funny?
That
Somebody,
was a good one.
we love our boy Jakar. Shout out to Jakar Close. Thank you for coming on our show. Somebody I saw on the internet posted like of the image of Jakar dropping dude on his head, and then the fight after that, which is so unfortunate for Jakar. Somebody did exactly the same thing in the next fight. That guy dropping
Yep.
someone on their head, and then the thing was like the day MMA fans realized jujitsu doesn't work, and I was just like, oh my God, this can't be serious. You know what my comment was? I had the best comment ever. Do you know what it was? Sean
Oh
Brady
man,
has entered the chat because Sean Brady just went out
that's
there,
perfect.
jujitsu'd all of us. I
That one
knew that
hurt
one
a
would
little
hurt
bit
you.
on the inside, but
Yeah,
felt good too. I like Sean
I'm
Brady.
happy to see him get
Like
back in
Dillon.
the win column. So we could tie this in. Sean Brady said if
He's a
yeah, and
welterweight.
he said if
Holy.
Machado gets past Luque, that's the fight he wants. I'm
I am
all
in.
in on that. I think, and to be honest with you,
All in.
it's partly because we're not totally vibing with Ian, but like, I think Sean Brady drops Ian on his head and chokes him out.
Throws him
Yes,
around
I
a little
mean,
bit. Yeah, I think
Ian
so.
Gary does have some pretty clean striking, but um,
Can't
yeah,
strike
that's a
from your
good way to
back.
put it.
But okay,
That's all right.
okay, we
This
went
is
off
just
on a
fun.
tangent.
Yeah, man.
We're happy to be back. UFC 296 this weekend, December, whatever it is.
Yeah,
We're
let's
back.
go, baby.
That's all we got. So if you guys are, let us know your picks. Let's hear them. If you're rocking with us, if you're not rocking with us, and expect more from us. I'm hoping we're back. I'm down to do this. I know RJ's down to do this. Schedules, hopefully, we're back. But RJ,
Much
you got
love.
anything for the people?
Like, comment, share. We'll see you guys soon.